Hello and welcome back to Railroads Online. Today we're going to be building a couple of trains to head up the North Line, but we're going to start with the cabooses that we didn't quite make in the last episode. Um, I do have a plan for those, so we're going to be doing this a little bit differently. I think we're going to take one or two over to the outbound and we're going to put those in. We're going to use Eleanor here to, oops, there we go, to do all this. So let's go ahead and preferably go the correct direction. And yeah, I know the turntable there is not where it needs to be. So we're just going to bring it up close, bring the locomotive up close and get everything set up. But yeah, we're going to be building up a couple more trains. I'm going to see if I can't get two or three trains sent up uh, in this episode, since there's really not a whole lot else to do. We don't have any of the new rolling stock. I haven't had a chance to play this at all this week since my last recording, so everything's sitting where it was, and that's about as good as can be expected. So we're going to go ahead and we're actually going to run back tender first. Whoops. To start with. And the reason we're going to do that is because by the time we get ready to leave with the first train, which is the one we built in the last episode, we'll be running conventionally. We'll be running with the front of the locomotive facing forward. Now, if we have enough time after the building of the other two trains and taking at least one or maybe two of them uh, up to the well, taking them up the North Line. Uh, we'll come back down here and I'll set up an Inglenook puzzle and we'll mess with that for a little bit. If we don't, I'm just checking my switches here, make sure everything's where I want it to be, and it is. Okay. If we don't, the building of these trains and taking them up the line will consist of the majority of the episode. I don't think that we're going to do any we're gonna make any money on this episode. I think this is just a rolling stock movement rather than a cargo delivery. Because at present I have got the sawmill completely emptied out. I want to have our stock of rolling stock. Forgive me, I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say here as I'm going. Uh, but I want to have some of my rolling stock up at the smelter for inventory. That's what I was wanting to say. Before we start really making any moves on it. On that same note, when we go to build the other two trains, which I'm actually getting ready to start doing here shortly, we're just going to move all but a couple of these cabooses into this siding here, or into this set of sidings back here that we just passed. I am going to be going to the lumber yard, and we are going to be picking up some cordwood and some logs. Now, I have not loaded any logs um, onto flatbeds yet. However, uh, it won't take much to split those in and out, since those will be easy enough to do by putting the flatbed or flatbeds with the log cars uh, right behind the locomotive. Okay, so that was two. Now I want all but two to be hooked up. So we're going to try and do this real nice and easy. Three. Dang it. Four. Will you please? Okay, this is weird. I heard four of them attached, but I'm not able to get to all of them. Apparently they detached. That's funny. I've never had that happen before. So I want all but two of them. And I'm trying to do this real nice and easy because we... Am I derailed? What's the deal here? Good Lord. It's not making any kind of sense. Okay then. Yeah, I'm wanting all but two of these so that I can yeah, this isn't making any sense at all. Apparently they don't like being uh coupled all together like this. There we go. All right. Because I'm going to be uh building those two other trains, I want to leave those other two there for now. I do know what I want to say, but clearly I'm getting sidetracked. Today is not a very conducive day of this, apparently. That's okay. We can do that. They definitely don't like being attached for whatever reason. They keep coupling and uncoupling, and I don't know why. But we'll get it figured out. We'll get them moved when we need to, or where we need to get them moved. But you can hear they're definitely not happy about being moved. I don't know if that's something to do with the game itself or if it's just a glitch. But that's neither here nor there. And we can make it happen. Okay, so how I want to do this, if we can get these dang things moving. Good Lord. Oh, this is going to be fun. Thankfully, I decided to move them all at once. We're going to leave them unconnected while they're in the sidings so that I can pick up just one at a time instead of doing it all like this. Now for a new reason than I was anticipating originally. Because they are clearly unhappy about being connected. That's strange. But, yeah, I only want to be able to pick up one at a time when I go to build a train, so we're gonna try and keep them uncoupled. as best we can. So they're probably not going to be as close as those two, um, but we'll see what we can do. Let's try and get them fairly close. We don't want to waste too much space here. There we go. All right. So maybe if we're lucky, it will uncouple correctly. Okay. And we'll be able to move back. Hopefully. Hopefully we'll be able to move back. Dang it. Game. Oh, this is not a... I am hitting all the wrong buttons today. Oh well. It is what it is. Okay. So I do want to bring that one just a little bit further forward. We're not going to get quite as close as we were to the other one, but we'll be there where we need to be. Now I just got to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay. So that one's detached. And I will be right back. I'm going to wait until it gets daylight out. Alrighty, I am back, and I think I've uncoupled. I don't think I've moved since I uncoupled, so we should be good here. So let's see. Yeah. All right, and that's about as far as we really need to be. Wow, that was weird. Okay, so we're uncoupled here. Okay. It seems like the couplers are behaving more now that we've got fewer cabooses on the consist. So I don't wonder if it might have been just a, oops, just a fluke, or maybe they were jamming together. Because you're really not supposed to. I mean, there's no real harm in it uh, in real life, but you're really not supposed to couple up cabooses like this too much. Oh shoot, wrong direction. Well, I guess I got to detach those two again. Boy, that's gonna be a fun one. Why don't we just go ahead and back that up just a touch? Save ourselves from having to repeat half of our day here. There we go. All right. I mean, in real life, there's really no problem when you're moving multiple cabooses at one time. Uh, for them to be coupled up. But apparently in this game, you're really not supposed to. Because it was not happy with us moving those several all at once. Okay, so let's get this one backed up just a hair. About right there will do it. And over time, we will have, and that's about as many as can be stored in this siding. Over time, we will be acquiring more uh, cabooses to fill these sidings up. Figure out where I want my camera. And I am going to go all the way back down here instead of jumping back onto that bypass. Because I do believe I've got my switches set for the center bypass line. So, I think it's that one. I could be wrong. Which would put us on this line here, I think. Uh, oh, well, shoot. I guess we'll find out. Watch us do what we did in the last episode and derail on a switch that's not set right. I suppose we'll find out, won't we? I should probably consider putting a fence between the four inbound lines for uh, northbound and the bypass line, but that really wouldn't do me any good on the map because the decorations don't show up. So we are on that line. Okay, so I do have my switches set right. That's good. So we're going to pick both of these up at the same time. Hopefully we don't have the same issues we had before. And we're going to put those in sidings 2 and 3 for the next couple of trains that we're going to be building today. And we're going to be building these back to front, just like we did with this first one last week. But in doing that, we're going to need to go and pick up some we're going to go and need to pick up some cordwood. Now my thought on this is that we're going to have 25 down here in the valley, and because it is such a massive necessity up there at the smelter, we're going to have 25 empties waiting to come back down up there at the smelter. So we've got a half and half split between the valley and the smelter. Now the one that's up at the smelter right now, because I've way back in season 1, I mean way back, I think about halfway through, not even halfway through, when we were first making runs up to the smelter. I went ahead and filled up the smelter with cordwood, so the one car that's sitting up there that's loaded is waiting to be unloaded, and that's how we're going to have that. We're going to have the empty ones down here. Okay. And did I forget to take the brakes off of every one of those? I hope not. Nope, okay. I mean, that would have made sense as to why they were doing what they were doing, but apparently it wasn't that much of an issue. Yeah, so when we go over to get the cordwood out of the logging camp, the lumberyard, we will we'll be taking some empties over there with us, and we will get 5 of the loaded cars and bring them back for each train. I think what we're going to do is we're going to do 5 of each type of consist, and we're going to, here we go again. Something's going on with these. As you can tell, they're not they're not really wanting to, I forgot to turn my brake off there, but they're not really wanting to stay hooked up or connected or anything like that, which is kind of odd. Especially when they're being pushed. See, we're disconnected again, apparently. But we're not really, so I'm not too worried about it. We're going to throw one down here. And when we go to do this, what we're going to do when we go to get those cordwood cars, what we're going to do is we're going to take this rake of flatbeds down. We're going to get those loaded up so that we can stop real quick at the sawmill and get that loaded up. We're going to take and unload those, hook them back up to the train, and go on up. So it shouldn't be too big of a hassle to get everything squared away. There we are. Okay. So let's go ahead and get that one on the wrong side of the train here. Let's go ahead and get this one uncoupled and then lit up. So this is why I insisted on buying these. The other one did not have this hole here. That's the one I want. So we want that. There we go. And I'm just going to phase through this door. I know where I'm going. But I wanted to show you guys that hole there and why I was insisting on getting these over the other type that we started with. If you remember the old green, the one with the green interior on it that we were using for the vast majority of the first season. That one does not, in fact, have a hole in the cupola so that you can put the lamp in from inside the caboose. Now I don't know why that is, but I definitely prefer being able to do that from the inside of the caboose so that I don't have to try and get up on top of the caboose and light it up that way. Because whether you're standing there, crouching there, or you're in fly mode, it's pretty difficult to do it. But if you can do it from inside the caboose, that makes it so much easier. Okay, and hopefully this will let us oh, we just missed it. Whoops. Go the correct direction here. There we go. Okay. Now, hopefully it'll let us back up. Line 3. Yeah. One caboose doesn't seem to have a problem, but multiples, forget about it. Okay, so since we're getting ready to come back here and detach from this caboose anyway, what we're gonna do, since we have to stop at the lumber yard to pick up the cordwood cars and the loads of cordwood, we're going to see, that's so much easier than having to do this number. That's so much easier. At least in my opinion. Since we have to pick up the cordwood cars anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to hook up to this line of flat cars. We're gonna that is the line of flat cars that's on this first train here, and we're gonna take them over there. We're gonna get them loaded up, and we're gonna put the uh, cordwood cars in right directly behind the locomotive before we pick up these uh, flat cars. So what that's going to entail is pulling out either the little beetle or the big bug. Little bug or big beetle. I'll figure it out. It's been a while since we've used them, but we're going to see them again today. And we're going to be using that locomotive to set everything up. And what I mean by that is, while we have Eleonora, there we go, hit the right key. While we have Eleonora connected up to the cordwood cars, we're going to have one of the 2-yard locomotives there at the lumber yard moving the log cars, flat cars, back to load them up. And then once they are loaded up, I will come over with Eleonora and attach to the loaded cars. So let's go ahead and grab those. I don't know how many are here, but we'll get a count when we get there. I will count right now. And 7, okay. So we've got 7. It takes about 35 to fully load the sawmill. Now, we're not going to be taking any of the lumber up to the iron ore mine today. That's not because we're waiting on the sawmill to produce. It does a phenomenal job. It's very quick at what it does. The reason is I want to go ahead and empty out and get all of the iron ore put into the gondolas that we're going to be taking up there, so that we actually have a train that we can swap out with, and not waste the trip up to the smelter. So we go the right direction, doesn't it? Okay, now we're moving. And we're going to go pretty quick here. But yeah, with the next couple of trains, specifically, not these 3, but the next 2, that'll probably 2 or 3 that'll be in the next episode, or an episode or 2. They will have full rakes of the cut lumber. They'll have plenty up there, because we'll have as many of the coal cars and iron ore cars as we can take up there. They're taking that direction. We'll have those ready. So those are going to go fairly quickly. We're going to be taking those 10 at a time to 5 of everything else that we've got. So we're actually going to travel on this inside line, which is actually the northbound line. We're actually going to just reverse down it. I've been doing that for a little while off camera. I've needed to do it to save a little bit of time, but ultimately, with just me running, it's not really a big deal. It's not really all that important. Now, when I get this map opened up to multiplayer, that will not be a thing. The line we're on right now is the northbound. You will have to travel on the northbound line if you're going north. You can't go backwards, especially past the sawmill or the sawmill. You can't travel on the northbound line uh, past the sawmill. There's no changeovers, or at least not many of them, and that could lead to some real problems. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and well, there we go. So we're gonna go ahead and do this, and I will be back as soon as everything gets loaded up and ready to go. Alrighty, I am back. I had to step away from the computer for a little bit. Um, and as I was doing that, I remembered that I was going to pull out one of these little guys and use them to load up the log cars. uh, so we'll go ahead and get that taken care of. And we've got Little Bug here, who we haven't seen for a little while. But still doing his thing as best he can. And he's going to be pulling these down. Hopefully he can push them back up the hill, but he'll be pulling them down as we get them loaded. But yeah, it's been a little while since we've used these locomotives. There we go. Now, when I start up the next map, we're going to be starting with a locomotive similar to Little Bug here. I'm actually going to I'm going to do a little bit of offline running to get that before I start that map up here on YouTube, but it's not really going to be that much. I've just got to lay a little bit of track and get a couple of industries connected to get that started. And usually the industries that are easiest to run first are the logging camp here and the sawmill. So I'll get that taken care of regardless of which map I open up first or open up next. Oops. There we go. Beforehand. And we'll use that locomotive as our starting locomotive versus the Montezuma or the other 040 Porter that they call Betsy. Because you can't choose the... you actually don't get to choose the liveries you start with. So I want to go ahead and take care of that. I want to go ahead and take care of that before we get into the actual map, because I do have an idea for one, and it is based off of the name of the railroad, I should say, is based off of a story that my father told me about something that he did while he was living in Dodge City before he and my mother were married. And I'm not going to go any further into detail about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this up here. We'll connect up to those. We'll connect up to those log cars and go and hook everything back into that first train and start building the other two. But yeah, my goal for this season, like I said in the first episode this year or this season, um, is to have this map done and ready um, to be put out there for my friends and viewers here who want to join in. Since Patreon died a very quiet death, um, I'm just going to open it up to the general public. And when I make the announcement, I will post a link, or I will post a notice actually in the video. There we go. So let's go put little bug away. But yeah, I will post something in the actual video when I announce it. Boy, those couplers could not be further apart. I never noticed that before. Good thing we're not using them uh, to pull trains with, isn't it? But anyway, I'll make an announcement in the video, and it'll probably be something to the effect of, send me a direct message or comment, and I'll send you a link or something like that. But for now, we're just working on um, getting this train or this map finished up and ready to run. So I am going to go ahead and when we get these other two built up, I'm going to go ahead and uh, do this part uh, off camera, silent running style, and I will get back with you when we're ready to head up the mountain. But yeah, I just wanted you guys to see, what was going on here, what I was doing. I decided I did want to take some of the cordwood up because we've got the empties down here that we need to bring over. And that's going to take me a little while to get those loaded, so I am going to... okay. I am going to go ahead and do that silent running, and we'll get that taken care of, and you guys will see the end result of putting all these trains together when that's done. For now, I'm going to go ahead and stick with you here, and we're going to go ahead and build the other two trains up. And I think I'm going to have to check, but I think that the box cars are going in the same place as the coal cars, so we should be able to splice them in between the coal cars and the iron ore cars. We should be able to splice them in between, but I'm going to have to look here real quick to see what industry they need. What industry needs them, I should say. So that shouldn't take too long. I am also going to before I get too far into this, I'm going to also be adjusting the audio on my game because it's, to be perfectly honest right now, it's hurting my ears just listening to it. So I've actually got my headset half off of my head again so I can actually, you know, not feel like my head is throbbing just listening to the game audio. Okay. And that's not a common thing for me. I think I just got it set a little bit too loud, which is odd for somebody like me who has trouble hearing much of anything anyway. But that's neither here nor there, and it won't take very long. And there's a pretty good chance that you guys won't really even notice the difference. But if you do, comment, let me know. I don't know. I don't know if you guys will notice the difference or not. So with those extra 5 cars, we should just about max out this sighting, which means this is going to, and excuse my language here, this is going to be one hell of a train going up the mountain. But by the time we get to any real elevation change, it's not going to make any difference because we're only going to have a few cars on here. I think we may have a maximum of 20 cars. Ooh. Bonk. Okay. That's good enough. Yeah, we have most definitely maxed out this sighting. It's just long enough for the locomotive to sit in here without fouling the switch. So that's going to be quite the quite the run. All right, so I will be right back. I'm going to go ahead and adjust my audio here real quick and check the map for a couple of things so we can start building more of the trains. So I will be right back. Okay, so I am back, obviously, and it looks like um, we can cut in the flat cars and the box cars in behind the iron ore cars because uh, the uh, smelter actually does not need the flat cars like I thought they did. So from now on, we're going to go ahead and cut them in. We're going to cut the flat cars in behind the iron ore cars, and we're going to drop the box cars, the iron ore or not the iron ore cars, but the box cars, the coal cars, and the flat cars. Once they've been emptied, we're going to drop them uh, at the complex for the smelter, or not the smelter, but the ironworks and the coal mine. So the goods out, the metal pipes, that needs the flatbed. And then we've just got the coal going out that we could put over here where these three here are. And we will probably extend those out in a later episode. It just depends on, what we need to do for that. But we're going to be doing a little bit of work with this first train up here in this general area because it is not set up right. Okay, I was under the impression that the flat cars went up with the stake cars. Well, they don't. Okay, so with that, we are going to grab 5. We're going to grab 5 of the log car, the flat cars. We're going to go load them up with logs, and bring back 5 of the loaded bulkhead cars, cordwood. We're going to take 10, because you remember we've already taken 5 from the sawmill. We're going to take 10 of the cordwood and 5 of the log cars, and we're going to bring them over to the inbound yard, which we are coming in from the south and we're going north. So we're going to be coming in on these northbound lines, and we're going to drop those there, and we're going to start assembling our train. So let's go ahead and do that. So I believe I've already detached from this train. And I did. That's good. I'm not going to rearrange this train. It's already set in its siding. There's no real point to rearranging it just yet. We'll do that when we take it to the sawmill. We'll cut those cars in there, because I've got the right amount of space and time to be able to do it. Because what we can do is we can take and park it on the north line here, on the northbound line, and use the southbound and the load line to run around and grab what we need to get. I want to come over here, get what I'm doing here, and we want the bulkhead cars first, and then we want to come in and grab the flat cars. So we're actually, because all of this is interconnected, I think. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, so we're not going to do that. I was going to say, because this is all interconnected, what we can do is we can just take the take that line out, but that's gonna warrant a little bit of work redesigning, and I'm not going to worry about that right now. I think for what it is, it'll work. We can make it a lot smoother than it is in terms of getting it set right. And that is to say, getting it all to where it's just 1 or 2 switches that we've got to cross over in order to just kind of interconnect everything so that we can make this a little easier. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to pick up the cordwood first, or the bulkhead cars first, and then we'll pick up 5 of the log cars. Or 5 of the flatbeds, excuse me. And I believe I will be getting some... yeah, it'd take a lot of rework to make that all work right. And I'm not of the mind to do it. I will be getting some of the proper log cars so that we can leave them down here. So, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. There we go. Oops. And we're going to go ahead and run up and get 5 of the flatbeds. Okay, I just had to double check my count there. So we're going to run up and get 5 of the flatbeds. And I think like I said, I am going to go ahead and get some of the proper, actual log cars. And we're going to use those on this short run here from the logging camp to the sawmill because we're going to be utilizing these flat cars in other places from now on. I think that'll save us a little bit of jockeying these around in terms of loading and unloading. But that will be something for later on down the line. That's not going to happen in this episode. It may not happen in the next 2 episodes, but we will see. They're not that expensive. They're one of the cheaper cars that we can get. But they really don't do. It really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. There, dang it, move. Okay, it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference how how we haul the lumber, I should say. Oops. 3, 4, and 5. I think. Oops. Let's see. Let's get a more accurate count here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. I just got to make sure sometimes. There we go. Now we're going to take these over to the sawmill, and we're going to get everything loaded up and brought back. Now I say loaded up. We're going to take the bulkhead cars and they're going to sit empty for now. I'm gonna put them in the sidings and they're gonna sit empty for the time being. But I am gonna get a switch set up for the bypass line, and I think we're gonna go ahead and use, yeah, we'll go ahead and use line 6 instead of line 1. But we're gonna have to wait until we get past there. I'm not going to worry about loading up the bulkhead cars right now. Right, like I said, I've already got some. I've already got some of the cordwood up there waiting to be unloaded. See, it's already the smelter's already full and ready to be operational in that respect. We're just waiting on the yeah on the iron ore. Okay, so down here, get our switch turned over. We're going to do this number here. It should be good. All right. It just saves a little bit of work. Doing what I did with the switches just saves a little bit of work maneuvering switches while we're running. See, I'll only need to move when we come back, I won't need to move one at all. But if we were to run just from the lumber mill here, I could just move that one and we'd be going right in to our outbound yard. But we're not going to be doing that. We're going to be taking this line here both directions. Now I'm going to pause here real quick and I'm going to get the fire stoked up a little bit. So we're going to be doing a little bit more work today. So these are going to be going right up to the loading area. I'm going to try and connect. Well, I'm not going to try. I'm not actually. I'm not going to try and connect these to Little Bug because Little Bug is out of the way. He's safely out of the way over there. But we are gonna disconnect from them, and we're gonna put these uh, bulkhead cars in the sidings that the others came out of, and we're gonna pick up a loaded rake. So as soon as we get lined up here with this first car and the crane, I'll go ahead and unhook them, and we'll get that taken care of. Now I didn't realize this when I built this line initially, and this was about 6 months ago now that I've built this, but this is all on flat ground, so I don't have to worry about these cars rolling away on me. Where Little Bug is parked right now is where the hill actually is, and he's got his brakes on, so he's not going anywhere. So let's go ahead and clear the switch, and we'll back this in. I think I've still got all my, yeah, everything's still set, so take care of that. Now we're going to have to do kind of a little bit of a maneuver here. Kind of an odd maneuver here to get the loaded cordwood put in with those log cars, or those flat cars, because we don't have a crossover over here, and we've only got one free siding. So that's going to pose a little bit of a problem. But you know, in saying that, it's kind of a good thing that we got that Inglenook yard, because that's the kind of puzzles, or that's the kind of problem that Inglenook yard is meant to solve. Basically, this is a oversized Inglenook puzzle. Where 5 counts as 1 in this case. We can move 10 at a time, but we've only got enough places to put 5. So that's, it's no big deal. We can make it work. And I'm gonna put the 5 in here, pick up another 5, and I'm gonna back them down into this line that's going to the turntable. It's not really supposed to be how it works, but as a matter of fact, we could even bring we could bring 10 out. That way we've got the room to do it. Or we've got it'll just save us a trip, that is. This yard, when I built it, was genuinely supposed to just be, pick up one and go, and then bring some back and load them up and throw them back in. But it doesn't quite work that way. So since these are all 5x5, we're going to drop these guys here. We're going to pull forward. We're going to clear the switch, and we're going to grab the next rake. So let's go ahead and do that now. Whoops. Go the other direction. Dang it. Gotta do this again. Yeah, let it get cut out. No, it won't. Okay. So let's try that again, shall we? Because I end up going the wrong direction almost every time. There we go. All right, so we're just going to clear the switch, and we're going to back in and grab the other pair, and I think we're just going to go ahead and put them on that center line, so that we can take 2 rakes, and we'll have another empty. We'll have another empty siding that we could put another rake into. I mean, we're building 3 trains, so we may as well take what we need now. Take 10, leave 10, so on and so forth. We're going to be bringing another rake back here the next time we come back anyway, so that's no big deal. We just don't need to take all of them at once. Okay. So we've got our 10. We've got, there we go. We've got our first 5. We're going to be putting them right in the center siding, which lines up with where the locomotive is right now. It's having a hard time getting these moving. Either we're going uphill or I've got a brake on. I'd be willing to bet I've got a brake on. So we'll check that before we hook up to anything. But given the fact that the sun's going down, I will do the rest of that in the dark. Oh, yeah, we've got a brake on. It's the locomotive brake. Okay, well, we'll just keep going then. Good Lord. Sometimes I amaze even myself with as stupid as I can be. Anyway, there we go. Go ahead and back it up. Drop these 5 in that center line. It should be able to handle them. I originally built that line to be a loading line, but obviously it didn't quite work out that way. Yeah, like I said, I originally built this center line to be a loading line with the 2 sidings on either side being loaded and empties, waiting to be either taken or loaded. But as it turns out, this ended up being possibly the better option. Oh, are we going to be able to do that? Ooh, I don't think we are. I don't think I've got the clearance there. Okay, so how do we want to do this? Dang it. Uh, I should have. Oh, I know I've got the clearance to be able to do that. Okay, we'll go ahead and put it on go the right direction. We'll go ahead and put this train on the shoe fly there, and we'll put those bulkhead cars in this siding next to us here between the cordwood and the bulkhead cars that we just put down. See, if you'll remember way on back to the very first episodes of season 1, that turntable didn't used to be there. It was just a runaround for the locomotive. So we've got to come all the way out here if we want to put anything on that other line. So this in and of itself, in my opinion, is bad design. but I didn't really know what I was doing at the time. I was just making it work. So it is what it is, and it still functions, just not the way I would like it to. If I had known more about what I was doing, I probably would have put in another crossover. But it's a little bit late now to try and adjust everything on this map to suit just what we're doing here now. So I don't mind fouling this switch right up here that we're getting ready to roll over. I don't mind that at all. In fact, we don't really need to do it, but I'm going to anyway because we can. Now, I don't know exactly where the hill is here, but I know that we're probably going to end up having to uh, just like that. We're going to have to turn the brake on. I don't know exactly where the hill is here, but it is there. So we're kind of in a losing battle with that. In fact, I think that's all a hill. And I made those uh, sidings back there in the yard flat so that I wouldn't have to do that. So I wouldn't have to put the brakes on. Okay. So go back. That siding again. And then we will start loading up the log cars. Now I am going to I'm going to put the log cars in behind the locomotive for the time being so that we can split them out and put them in the correct orientation for the run up the hill after we get them unloaded. But for now, they'll be okay behind the locomotive when we go to hook everything up. So instead of hooking up immediately to the cordwood cars that are stopped over here, I'm going to go and back up to the flat cars. I'm not going to couple up. We're going to still use Little Bug. But after this load, we're going to go ahead and put him away. And we're going to take care of that. We're going to take care of this with a normal. Because we really don't need a second locomotive at this point, since I've found my mistake. I was under the impression that the log cars, or not the log cars, the flatbed cars were going up, like I said, they were going up to the smelter, but they don't. They don't go up to the smelter. We need just the stake cars. So we'll see what we need there when that time comes. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and leave Enora right there. And we're going to go grab our little bug. Fire him back up because I'm sure he sat long enough that he's lost his fire. It would surprise me if he didn't. 20%. Pretty close. Okay. And we'll go ahead and back up. So yeah, this is going to be this 040 Porter or 042 Porter, excuse me, is going to be our starting locomotive for the next map. I think I've pretty well decided which map I want to start with. Uh, but in case I change my mind, it's not going to make that much difference. We're still going to start with the little Porter. So that's 12 out of 30 or 35 that we need to get loaded up. Now, ultimately, everything that we've got in storage right now is going up the line. But for now, just these three will be enough uh, to get us a start. And we'll probably, I mean, we'll make at least one run today, but we'll probably put together a couple more trains next week and do the same thing next week. So it's going to be back to back, just doing this. Uh, just for prep work, kind of something a little bit more relaxing. And then um, I think what we'll do is go back and run some coal back and forth if we've got the industries up and running for that, because we need a more powerful locomotive, and there are two currently that we have available. One is soon to be available. We'll probably have it by the end of this series, or by the end of this map, I should say. And that's the articulated tank engine, which I think it's a 2662 or 4. I'll show it to you guys when we go to buy our next locomotive. But you know which one I'm talking about if you've played this game for any length of time. It's the one that you unlock after everything else has been unlocked for like decades. But but yeah, those that one and oh, rough hit. Okay, so we know beetles or little bugs brakes are horrible in comparison to those large cars. Uh, but he'll do more than well for what we're planning for the next map. But yeah, we're going to be looking at the I call it the decapod. It's not a decapod. I found that out um, a few weeks ago after really looking at it. I thought it had 10 drivers, and it doesn't. It's only got 8. But uh, that's no big deal. If you count in the lead and trailing wheels, it's still a decapod in my mind. Oops. Headlight. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right. So we won't need bug again today. All right. So I'm going to go in the buy menu and show you what I'm talking about right now. This is one of our starting locomotives. Okay. And when you start a map, you don't get a choice in the livery. See, this is the Montezuma, which is what we started out with. and it's got different liveries with it. But dang it, I hate it when it does that. But the 040 does not have a livery. It's got a name, and that's it. You don't get the choice in the name. So we will be, um, I will be doing a little bit off camera to get our little guy here, which still doesn't have a livery, but it's a little bit more robust. You can actually have more fuel with it. Um, as far as our next locomotive, I am looking at three different ones specifically for the run up the mountain. And if I can find it, I think this is it. Yeah, this is the one I thought was a decapod, and it's not. However, this is one of the stronger locomotives. Here's another one. This is a decapod. It's got 8 drivers and 4. No, it's bigger than a decapod. It's got 8 drivers and four leading wheels. So this one, and this one here are two of the ones that are two of the locomotives that I'm looking at. I think that one's actually a little bit weaker, so I may go with that one. Uh, I may also go with the 125 here. And this one is pretty substantial. And a few runs back and forth between the uh, lumber yard and the sawmill and the depot to turn everything in. I can afford this one very easily. This one, however, has not quite been unlocked yet. This is our articulated. It's a 266 2. I don't know why I didn't just read it, but uh, I'm stupid like that. So this is the biggest locomotive in the game. I don't know how well it's going to work. Um, quite frankly, I don't know how well any of them are going to work. But this is what we're going to be using to haul the iron ore for sure. That's what we're going to be using to haul the iron ore. So with that, let's go ahead and go back to work here and grab Eleonora and our cordwood and get ready to start our run for our next train. So I've got to remember to undo that brake before we leave. Otherwise, we're going to be crawling. Okay. So we'll go ahead and go back and do that, and we'll head on up the line. Now okay. I was gonna say it's pulling the whole train, but it's not. Now I will cut out this last run up here just for time's sake. But it's essentially exactly the same thing as what you guys have just seen. It's just without the use of the second locomotive. Let's go take care of our switches real quick. Already set to come in. And I want to come in here. We want line 6, so we're golden now. There we go. And actually, I can drop just the... I think what I can do is I can drop just the cordwood cars and put the log cars right at the end of the train so that I could just take all the end of the train off and take it around and unload it. I think that'll probably be the easiest thing to do. So we'll see how that works out. I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna rearrange that first train. It was kind of an afterthought to do this. I'd already had that one built last week, and it hadn't occurred to me that this was an unnecessary thing. So we are going to come up as far as we can in siding 6, or line 6. I think it's line 6. And then we'll stop, because I want to make sure that I clear this this switch. Yeah, it's going to be line 6. See, there's actually only supposed to be one bypass line, but I've kind of been using line 1 on the northbound side. This is the southbound side, which is counterintuitive because we're going north. I've kind of been using line 1 on the southbound side, or on the northbound side, excuse me, to use as a runaround for my trains. And it looks like we're going to clear, so I'm going to go ahead and stop right here, and we're going to go out and unhook back here. I'm going to throw these log cars in at the very end because we've got to unload them when we get to the sawmill. I got switches set. That one's set. And we're good to go. I remember way on back when I started this series, this was the most number of cars we had. It's 5 of these and 5 of the stake cars. Boy, that took a long time to do. That took a long time to get that sawmill up and running. But we're getting pretty close to being done with this map, so I'm rather pleased that we've got this amount of rolling stock now. Now I am fully hoping that with the lengths of these trains, that we actually can clear all the switches and whatnot, because I would hate to have to go seriously far out of my way to get all of the logs transferred over and then spliced back into the train. That would be well beyond irritating. So with our next rake of 5, we'll have 17 total, which will give us just over half, or right at half. It'll fully load up the goods out, I'm sure. Okay. But I don't think that we'll have much left in the... Oh, we need some water. Okay, that can be taken care of. We won't have much left in the reservoir. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go fill this locomotive up. I'm actually going to pull into the Inglebrook yard, or Inglenook yard, and do that since it's over there. That'll save me a little bit of time, and I will get back with you when I've got the locomotive ready to go. Alrighty, I am back, and here's quite a sight. This is why we're using such a small locomotive for and cars for the Inglebrook yard or Inglenook yard, and that is because anything larger and we'd have to have a lot of space. So yeah, I figured you guys would like to see that as we're pulling out of there. Um, I don't anticipate having to do that very often, but we'll find out. I did notice that, or when I checked that, we were completely out of water, so we are now completely reloaded and ready to go. So it looks like our next train is going to be a 35 long consist. So how do we want to do this? Are those really estate cars? Yes, they are. Okay. Let's see. We need our box cars and let's see, our box cars will go here, our coal cars will go here, so we want those in line first off. So let's do our box cars and then our coal cars because they're all going to be going right into this area right here. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to grab the box cars first. I think, yeah, I've already swapped the line. So let's come up here. We want that line there, and we're good. So we're going to be doing 5 of each, which, if my count is correct, we're going to have about 30 cars per train. So that's quite a bit when you stop and think about it. But on that same note, we're going to be... oh, I don't want to do that. I do not want to do that. I want to make those last. So we need stake cars first. I got to remember how I'm doing this. I've got to build it back to front for delivery. But for hauling, I need to build it front to back. So it's a little bit confusing. So we want stake cars first. Helps if I go the right direction. Because they're going to be the last ones we drop off up at the smelter. Then we want our ore cars. Need 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of these. There we go. And then we want to go over and grab our ore cars, which will be right next to us. Those right there. So we'll get those. And then we'll grab the coal cars and the box cars. And this is going to be the orientation we're going to be pulling them in. And we're going to try and do that one more time. And I will have my next round of log cars loaded up and put in well before well before all that takes place. So we may only get to take one train up today. Looking at the recording time, we're right at 2 hours right now. 2 hours 9 minutes and some seconds, but I'm not counting the seconds. Um, there we go. So we may only get one train, maybe two if I decide to do some movie magic, but probably just one today. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Now I apologize for the lamp flashing. There's not really a whole lot I can do about that. Uh, except for that. So I'm not too worried about that. Does make it hard to see, but for certain parts of this, we really don't need to see. So let's go and grab our coal cars. Because it really, because they're going roughly to the same place, it really doesn't matter um, which we grab first. We could do either the box cars or the coal cars. I'm just going for the coal cars um, right now. Well, heck with it. Let's go with the box cars. We're right there anyway. There, we're right there anyway. Do the box cars and then the coal cars and throw them in behind, or throw them in front of the flatbeds, and we'll be good. Because we've also got to get the cordwood uh, on up the hill. And since those are the only real loaded, those are going to be the only loaded wagons on the train, then it kind of makes it a little bit easier. So we don't have to watch it and make sure these don't get ripped off the rails again. All right, so where are we at? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. There we go. We'll go and grab our ore cars, get them put together with the rest of the train, I should say. And then we will take all of this down and get our cordwood cars put in front of it, up behind the locomotive. Now there is a pretty good chance when we get this whole system running that we're going to see a car here, a car there, that kind of thing. We're not going to see uh, full rakes like this. It's going to be, one or two here and there once everything gets loaded up and we're good to go. Specifically because with the more concepts that you have ready to go, you can kind of keep things running at bare minimum. And at that point, I'm going to say, okay, the map is done and we've got everything that we need. Bonk. little soon, but still. Okay. Let's head back here. Fly mode to move just a little bit faster. Oops, there we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. There we go. Get the right one. All right. So come up here, way on back up here, and we'll move out and get train number 2 finished. So these are gonna the rolling stock that we have here is gonna disappear very quickly. It's gonna it's going to be dispersed all around the map very quickly. We won't have any issue with that at all. In fact, we'll probably take one of these trains up there and you'll see how quickly it all disappears, just right off. Okay, let's check my switches here. I am actually going to stop. I'm gonna foul all these switches here for a minute, and I'm gonna pack. I'm gonna pick up the cordwood cars, and we're just gonna save ourselves a trip here. We just want to bring it right to the end of this switch here. Give ourselves enough clearance to be able to do this, and that should be good. Right about there. Okay. So we're going to go pick up 5 of those cordwood cars, and we will have a complete train right off the bat. Okay. So that's set. We'll pick those up. We're going to take all of them at first, uh, just so we don't have to move as far. The next time. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I spaced out there. We don't have to move as far the next time to pick up the cars for the next train that we're going to build. Bonk. Oops. Oh well. I'm kind of dumb like that. We know that. I don't try to do that. I don't try to ram into them like that. Yeah, it's getting a little easier to see now. Okay. So I want to bring them to about there-ish. So there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we go. Come back up here, hook back up, and carry on. So this is technically a full train now. And when we get it back down into uh, outbound number 2, you're going to notice that there's a pretty decent difference in length between the two, uh, due to the fact that there is so many more cars of the different types in that first one than this more structured train that we're putting together now. And the reason for that is because that first train that we put together last week is just the It's just the extras. That's quite literally all in the world it is. It's just the extra cars. So we're going to come back here and we're going to follow the train down. I do believe we've got enough room. We had enough room for that last one, and it wasn't nearly this long. Or this one's not nearly as long as that one, I should say. But yeah, with the next map, what I'm thinking is that uh, what I'm thinking we can do is yeah, we got miles. Uh, we're just going to run individual lines between the industries. We're actually not going to run a main line like we have here, but we will see what happens because none of these maps are ever the same, and with the ability to move the industries around, even the same map can be played many different ways. So there's always plenty of options in terms of playability. Now for this map, like I said, it was just kind of a practice map, and I think what I did in terms of laying down the track was I just did the most practical thing, and that was to make a direct line from one end of the map to the other. The next map that we do, that won't be the case. That will be a industry base uh, needs requirement uh, situation. So this first train here, you can kind of see it's kind of just a mashup of different things because we've got all the extras parked in here, and the uh, log cars were, and the log cars and the cordwood was an afterthought. Now there's no box cars on that train, but that doesn't really matter. We're going to have enough trains to be able to do that anyway. Uh, throughout the rest of the clearing here. Uh, but it's going to give us a pretty decent start for what we're trying to do here. These three trains as we're building them is going to give us a pretty decent start. So let's see, we are full 5 cars shorter. How about that? Okay, so now we know. All right, so with that, I am going to cut here, and I'm going to get everything set up for the next train, and when I come back, we will haul this conglomeration on line 1 up the hill. So I will be right back. Alrighty, I am back and we are pretty well ready to roll. We're going to go ahead and get our switches all set for our first leg of this run here. And go on to the northbound line. And you can see there's no crossovers up here, so, well, until you get here. So hopefully we won't need to use that whole stretch. We can probably gonna end up well, I think this time around, yeah, I think this time around we're just gonna have to do this kind of the hard way here. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how much of the line we use. And if we have to, we'll come clear back here and we'll do a run around and I'll get that cut out. But yeah, for the most part, that's what we're looking at. We just got our switches set for the first leg of the run. Second leg is already set. We are going to actually go into the yard here, and we're going to drop cars as we need to. So we're going to open up all those switches for now. And we're going to open that one. No, we're going to open that. Dang it. That one. And we're going to drop cars there. So that's going to be, we're going to get back on our north line here. Even though we really don't need to. Yeah, we really don't need to get back on that north line because it condenses down to one track up here, as you guys remember, I'm sure. And then we will stop up here just short of, or just past the actual yard itself, and we'll use Johnny here to get the ore cars, and then we'll head on up the rest of the way, and that will be the episode. We're not gonna head back down south. We're not gonna head back down the mountain today. We're just gonna go ahead and take this train on up. So let's go ahead and get rolling. Now this is gonna be a test for Eleanor because this is a 35 car train and she struggles with 30 cars. So we'll see how we do. And I know she struggles with 30 cars because that's what I would haul when I was hauling the logs to the sawmill. So, and she would barely break 15, maybe 20 if I was lucky. So we'll see how far we get, how fast. And this is why I'm saying we need a much more powerful locomotive than we've got. Now, when I'm in the offline session, I'll put together another train or two. I did some looking, and you'll kind of see it here in a minute. But lines 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the only ones capable of carrying this number of cars. So everything from there on forward, past line 4, we're gonna have to keep getting shorter and shorter trains. So I'm kind of hoping that I'll be able to I mean, yeah, you're gonna see it's just right there at the very edge of being too far into that switch. I'm kind of hoping that by that time we'll have enough of the cars gone through that we can actually make smaller trains. Because yeah, we're struggling. We are really struggling. I was not anticipating 30 cars would be this bad, but Jesus. Or 35 cars, excuse me. But we're making it. This is a slow freight for sure. It'll get lighter as we go on, but yeah, this is definitely not the ideal situation here. Now, let's see how these... Well, they're doing fine. But yeah, we are struggling. We're making a whole whopping 5 miles an hour. Okay, so I'm going to close that switch as soon as we get by it. There we go. I'm going to do the same up here. Go. I got one more. We are slowing down, by the way. We are going uphill. There we go. We are going uphill. There is a slight uphill grade right in this area, so we're making all the headway we can. You know, if I didn't know any better, I'd say there is some wheel slip going on. And I could be wrong. I didn't think they'd integrated that into the game, but it kind of looks like they did. I could be wrong. It may not be. It may not be slipping, but it sure seems like it. Now we're gonna go onto the north line. We're gonna stop just short of the. Come on, you can do it. We're gonna stop just with the stake cars just short of the switch here. This switch right here, so that we've got as much onto the spur as we can, or onto the line. Yeah, like I said, Eleonora struggles with 30, so 35 is really pushing it. And I think you guys can kind of understand through seeing this why I suggest, or why I'm kind of pushing for getting some beefier locomotives. Well, we've actually sped back up to 5 mile an hour. That's good. I have a very distinct feeling that we are going to be fouling that switch and we're going to have to take the long way back. Well, it happens. So let's come back here to the end of our log train. And we're going to stop with it just behind the switch. Yeah, we're going to foul those switches. Dang it. Well, maybe. We haven't quite reached that switch yet. Maybe we'll be lucky. I doubt it, but maybe we'll be lucky. I mean, with the regulator at full and the reverser at full, and we're only making 3.5, 4 mile an hour right now, that's saying something. So hopefully, when we get these logs unloaded, this train will be markedly lighter. Well, it looks like we cleared the switch. Oh, barely. That's beautiful. Oops. Let's see if we can stop now. Stop where we want to. Nope, we're not going to. Because I was stupid and had the regulator still open. Back it up just a touch, and that'll be good. Right there. Or close enough. Okay. So those are going to try and roll away. We're not going to let them. Okay. So yeah, we just barely cleared that switch back there. That worked beautifully. So let's go ahead and get these logs unloaded. And we'll do what we need to do to get the flat cars put at the back of the train, because they're going to be going with the ore cars and the what would have been the box cars on the other two trains. Go ahead and flip that switch and that switch and that switch and that switch. Boy, it looks like a straight line on the map, but it is definitely not a straight line here. It'd be nice if it was, though. So we want to go back up to our locomotive. And you can see just with these cars here, which is a small number compared to the overall train. It's having a lot less of an issue pushing them than it was pulling the rest of the train. Ooh, let's not drag ourselves. All right, so let's go and unload these log cars. Now, when we go to put these log cars in behind the ore cars, we'll take and detach the caboose first, so that we can uh, couple it up to the back of the log cars and then just put it in behind the ore car. Put the whole rake in behind the ore cars, or the coal cars, excuse me. But it'll be a kind of a double runaround, so to speak. We're only going to be detaching from the log cars for this bit. And we'll back down. We will back up. We're not actually turning the locomotive around on this loop. This is one of those instances where, if I had thought ahead to what we needed to do, I would put a couple of sidings in, so that we could do this. Or I'd have left those sidings that were originally there in. But that said, the system that we've got right now sort of works, so we'll go with it. Now, that said, that may change. We may end up putting a small locomotive area here to service this industry, and that would just be another little 060 and facilities for it. Oops. Stop and go backward now. So what I just did there was a rolling unload, and the hotkey you can see down here bottom center of the screen says enter to unload, or the little uh, backwards L-shaped key. That is that's one of the hotkeys to unload or to load and unload. For my computer, for my game, enter is unload and space is load. So I don't have to get out of the locomotive anymore to load the cars or unload them. I was not aware of that in season 1 until about half to 3/4 of the way through the season. So you can see without the extra weight of those logs, um, this locomotive is actually making a lot better speed just with these cars here. And we'll probably see a good uptick in the speed as far as for the overall train as well, because they are empty and now much lighter than they were. The Lucky was able to haul them, but I'm not entirely sure he would have been able to even get them this far. I mean, it's kind of the same situation as Eleonora. Eleanor's actually got more tractive effort than Lucky, so there's a pretty good chance that it just would not have been a feasible thing to do. So we're actually going to go down here, and we are going to, because this one's on a hill, it will push the others. We're going to go ahead and set this brake. So that it won't go anywhere. We're going to detach here. Shouldn't go too far. Of course, I say that. Okay. And we are going to go back up to the crossover point, but only as far as the south line. So we're going to do that. And we're going to run in between these two. And we're going to go pick up the caboose. This is kind of a convoluted thing to be doing, but I want these cars in order because I don't want to have to deal with this at the receiver. And like I said, this one was an afterthought. You know, the logs and the cordwood was an afterthought on this train. So this is the only one we're going to have to do this with. The next time we run a train through here, we'll just be able to detach the last portion of the train, come over, unload them, throw them back on the train, and go. It'll be so much faster, so much easier. And there'll be 5 less cars to do, so Eleanor shouldn't struggle too much. Okay, so we want to roll on back. There we go. Past the switch. In. Pick up our caboose. Now, getting back in front of this train is going to be interesting because we've got these... That was rough. We've got these extra cars on it, on the back of it now. Quit detaching. Quit attaching. Thank you. Okay. We're going to have these extra cars here on the back of the train, so it's going to foul this switch when we get there. So we're going to have to come all the way back out around, like so. So I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to couple the caboose up to, it is rolling. Dang it. We're going to have to do it now. It's moving. We've just fouled that switch, so we're going to have to do this now. We're going to couple up the... it's still going? Are we serious? You wouldn't think that little bit of a hill. Well, we're going to have to move it forward now. Dang it. I had the brakes on. I had 3 brakes on. And Eleanor is strong enough she can push those up there. It's only those furthest 3 that are holding everything on. Put that back where we had it. At least so far as to be able to move. Completely ridiculous. Now let's try that again. What we're going to do is we're going to take the whole train and we're going to back it down on those flat cars. That way I can actually get around the train and make everything happen. And that is assuming that the train isn't rolling again. I am going to check this caboose. Brake is on. That figures. Alright. Now, that explains why we were having such a tough time pushing it. Or pulling it, I should say. That might also explain why we had such a hard time pulling the train up this far. But therein again, it's still a very, very long train. Alright, so let's put... oh, jeez. How do we want to do this? That one's on. We'll come back here and shut the... yeah, we'll shut the caboose brake off when we get hooked back up. So let's do our second run around here. Hook back up to everything. Because we don't exactly have our runaround. It would have fouled. It would have fouled this line if we'd tried to do that. So that would have pretty much been the end of just about everything. It would have fouled it further back than that, further back than where we are. So we're going to come back up here. Now we want to be over on that line, but we're going to get this switch ready here, because once we have everything attached and hooked up, we can just go. And hopefully it won't take another 40 minutes. Now we're going to have to come back here. Now that we've got our locomotive attached, we can go ahead and let the, if I can get up there, let the brakes off of here, off of these first 3 cars. I cannot believe that it took that much to hold that train there on such a shallow hill. Like, I just don't get it. Whoa, wrong direction. See if we can get moving here. I'm still concerned about these stake cars being in the center like this, but it looks like they're okay. All right, so I'm gonna go back here to the back of the train, and whoops, and we're gonna pull it around, and we're gonna back in where those flat cars are. It's a roundabout way of doing exactly the same thing as I was planning to do, but once I realized that we were going to foul that switch, there was really no way around it, unfortunately. But thankfully, this is going to be the only one we really have to do this with. Because with those logs being at the back of the train, what we could actually do is take the entire train around the loop. That'd be kind of a stupid way of doing it, but I have done it before. I have taken a 30-car train around that loop before. It's nothing that I haven't figured out already. Okay, so there's that and that. Now we go back and pick up the flat cars. So we're going to try and make this happen as quickly as possible, in terms of dropping these cars. Like I said, we're not gonna make the run back down the hill or back down the mountain. We're also not going to be sorting these cars in, or well, putting them into the sidings at the moment. We're just going to drop them and go. We are, however, going to grab the caboose each time. So these first 2 drops that we're going to make, bonk. These first 2 drops that we're going to make are going to be roughly in the same place. Helps if I hit the right dang buttons, doesn't it? Okay. We are clear back over here. It wouldn't do me any good to try and teleport, because that's where it's like a mile and a half away from where we need it. So, okay. Now let's get back in our locomotive before the train makes its way back down the hill that's parked on. The bell is off, by the way. Alright. So let's get rolling here. I'm almost tempted to put a lantern on that dead tree there. Just as kind of a marker. So it seems like it seems like now that the logs are off of that train and the and the caboose brake is released, um, it seems like the train is moving quite a bit better, quite a bit easier. So that's a good thing. Now I'm going to double check my switches again, because we can't exactly go that way. That goes to the refinery and the oil field, and that's going to be another loop that comes back in around over here to the um, to the yeah uh, central depot. But that's going to be the last few major building episodes that we do here. Uh, from that point on, everything is going to be set decoration. Everything's going to be uh, touching up here and there, just little things. Now, I don't know. I have a feeling we would probably be better off going around the loop for this to work. Close up those switches again for now. We'll do that number. Yeah. So we're going to take the bypass loop so that we have a place to put this train. And we can just back in to drop everything where we need to drop it. Well, or we really don't even have to do that. We could just run around and pick up the cars. So let's come back here to the caboose, and got a little ways yet. Back here to the caboose and wait till we get past that switch, so that we don't foul the line here. At least not too terribly much. All right. So that's where we want to stop. And you can see we've made it almost 2/3 of the way around, it looks like. So we want the flat cars and the we want the flat cars and the the coal cars. So we want those off the train first. So we're going to go ahead and detach them while we're running around over here. We're just going to detach them all at once. Looks like they're going to go together. All right, that's fine. So we'll come back over here to our locomotive now that we're stopped. Lamp back off so you guys aren't blinded here. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. What's the deal? I thought I was detached. Okay, now. Okay, we are now disconnected from the train. So let's go ahead and head forward. We're going to use the... We're basically just going to run around everything. Just like that. We're going to use the bypass as our parking spot for now. Because we do not actually have any kind of parking that siding. We don't have a siding that is anywhere near long enough for what we need. And I did not intend for trains this long to be utilized on this line. This is a small map, and there's not a lot of distance for these trains, so they look remarkably unrealistic on this layout. I think the longest train that we could possibly get away with is about 15, maybe 20 cars max. I think the winter map, the Aurora, north, the northern, the snow map, and the desert map, I think are much larger maps. Uh, that said, I could be wrong. With it being so dang dark, I can't see exactly where everything's at. But we'll use the map to make everything work. And we're actually going to, since we're not concerned with sorting anything out right now, I'll do that all offline. We're going to put these in the through sightings and make that happen. Kind of wish I could put lights on these cars when I'm backing them up. Make everything so much easier. Or when I'm running with the locomotive clear back at the back of the train. So we're going to drop the coal cars in this longest siding, and then we're going to come in and drop the flatbeds right next to them. Once we get some more funds, I will be putting small locomotives over in these areas where there's roundhouses or engine sheds. It'll be more of the same. It'll be the 060 switchers. Not because I favor them. Oh, well, we've got plenty of room. Okay. Not because I favor them over anything else, but mainly because we don't need anything larger. Just to jockey around rolling stock. Okay, I think I can leave that off. I think this is all flat ground. Well, flat track anyway. And at least with the sun coming up now, we can see what we're doing. So we'll stick these in. Stick these in over on the next siding and run back around and pick the rest of the train up and head out. But yeah, what I'm very likely going to end up doing is putting in small smaller locomotives. We'll probably get a couple of the smaller coal-fired locomotives once everything's up and running to haul the short trains, like the coal that's going to the central depot or to the High Line. Alrighty, we are back and we are good to go, I do believe. Now, because we dropped the coal cars over here on these through sidings with the flat cars over here at the metalworks, we do not actually need to worry about swapping lines to get around in the yard over here at the coal plant, or at the coal mine. So we're just going to take the north line, the northbound line, up and around. all these extra sidings. These sidings are here for the load and unload portions of this industry. And you can see I've already loaded that up. That was done back in season 1. So it should be just about ready to produce. We've just got to bring the coal over. Not mistaken. Yeah, we got to have iron products too, so that'll be a thing. What the heck is that? Bush. Right out there in the middle, and made me think it was a rock or something. Well, let's see if we can't build a little bit of speed as we're going up the mountain. When we go to running on multiplayer, I will have the fuel use turned up, so that will give us a reason to actually keep these industries going. Okay, so we're going to end up crawling up this hill from the look of it. So I'm going to keep the regulator. I think I'll just keep it at 100%, and keep the reverser rather at 100%. Those iron ore cars, those ore cars are still massively heavy, but we should make some decent time. If I'm not mistaken, in my outro, I've got a load of cut lumber going up to the iron ore mine that is roughly about as long as this train is now. And that was a fully loaded train, and we were making maybe about 15 miles an hour. If I remember correctly. I might not. I might be wrong on that. But yeah, we are definitely not going to be able to keep our speed up on that note. But we'll do pretty well to get up there and get everything unloaded. We've got two stops left to make, and we've got all the power in the world to make it. So I think we'll be good. Now, on the next run, things are going to go a little bit more, a little bit more smoothly. Offline, if I have the time this next week, I am going to build up the other 2 trains for the run up the hill, and we'll get all that stuff situated. I'll get all the waiting inventory sorted into sidings and put away and all that good stuff. But ultimately, this is going to be the next couple episodes. It's just running up and down the mountain. One of the episodes here in the not too distant future will be, in fact, a iron ore train going up to the smelter. We may start doing that here probably in the next 4 or 5 episodes max, because if we want to get one of those coal-fired locomotives, we're going to have to really get things rolling on the metalworks industries and on the coal industry, because without those, we got no locomotives except for what we've got now. I don't expressly see the need for having one of every locomotive that we have in the game, on every map. You'll notice I've already got multiples of one locomotive, but that's because it does a pretty good job of uh, servicing the industry that it's at. But for the runs up the hill, specifically with the iron ore, and on the way down the hill, that's not going to be such a big deal. we could we could just about let that one be a runaway, and it would be fine. Um, I'm not going to. That's not a happening thing. But the run up the hill, we definitely need a more powerful locomotive for the loaded trains, specifically the iron ore, and for trains like this where we're going to have the lumber, we're going to have the cordwood. Those need to. Those definitely need to be pulled by a much more powerful locomotive than what we've got. And given that we have the capacity for at least half of the iron ore cars that we've got in total right now at the iron ore mine, we've got at least that much capacity. I see no reason why we couldn't haul, you know, 5 cordwood cars, some empty stake cars, and a whole long line of loaded iron ore cars. The problem is, like I said, I don't think Eleanor could handle it going up this hill because it's a steady grade, and I don't think that this locomotive can manage that. So, with that in mind, we are going to go ahead and bring the end of our train just past this siding or this switch right here, because we want to be able to get everything moved around. We want to be able to get everything moved around and just throw the well, we can actually just bring it right to the end of this switch here. Yeah, why don't we do that? Bring it right to the end of this switch here. We're going to go ahead and give ourselves a little bit of clearance. I'm going to go out real quick and I'm going to get Johnny and get him fired up, and I will restart the recording uh, once that's all said and done. So let's go ahead and get him fired up here real quick. Go. Okay, he's ready to go. Headlight, its tail light, and I will be right back. Well, that didn't take long, did it? Okay, so we're still waiting on uh, the water to boil in Johnny's boiler. That's not going to be too big of an issue. Uh, we're going to run around and grab. We're just going to have to run around basically the whole yard here. So that'll give it plenty of time to build up pressure again. But we're going to try and not use as much as possible. So when we go to use this gravity line here, we're only going to be sending down 4 or 5, or not 4, but 5 cars. Whoops, 5 cars at a time. And the reason for that is because I don't know how substantial the sighting is over here that these will be getting caught in. So it's just going to be going into one of these 3 sightings up here, and I don't know how long they are uh, in terms of these, yeah, these iron ore cars. Good Lord. Can't tell I've been recording for 4 hours, can you? So we are actually going to lose quite a bit of steam before... Well, it seems to have stabilized. I think we're making enough pressure to hold steady. Try and get a little bit more speed. Now it's going to start building up pressure because we're not using as much steam. Okay. There's our safety valve. Now I suppose, given that this is a fresh recording, what I could do, because I'm going to end up cutting out probably quite a bit of the 3 hours that I've already recorded, um, I could get these loaded up, but I'm not going to. So there we go. You're hooked. Like I said, I'll load these off camera. But we're going to take and we're going to put them in the loading area, um, just to have them there. So we're down to our last 10, maybe 10 cars. Yeah, 10 cars. Halfway down the hill. There was so little room here when I built this. It's just unbelievable how little room was available to build this yard. I would have I would have been very, very much happier with the room available to actually um, put in a decent yard. But such is the challenge of games like this. Now, such is the challenge of locations like this. You've got to work with what you have. Which is why we've got, Johnny, and we're going to have the articulated in the same locomotive shed, and it's going to be making its run up and down the mountain. It's going to stay either here or at the iron or the smelter. It may even run down to the ironworks, but I don't anticipate it going very much further than that. So we're just kind of coasting right now. I'm going to go ahead and get this lined up. And we'll stop there, I hope. And I'll put the brakes on up here. Well, no, because I'm going to have to... So do it right there and unhook, because I'm going to hook Johnny back up. So we're going to put the caboose back on the end here, bring Johnny back over, and hook him back up to the ore cars. And like I said, I'll take care of them off camera. Looks like Johnny may be out of water too. That's not a surprise. Inglebrook was out of water. Johnny may be out of water. They only hold about 800 gallons, so. His little water gauge looks kind of low, so we'll see. But we'll get the caboose hooked back up, and I'll take care of all that offline. Now let's make sure we've got all our switches set, because I know we condensed down a couple of times. I think that's the last time we condense back down. Yep. Okay, so we should be on the right line to come in. Going to do that. And we'll have Eleonora stop with the train just there, because I'm gonna have to put everything in its place and all that. So no worries on that. We'll get that taken care of before the next episode. So as we roll up here to the what is it, smelter? Yeah. As we roll up here to the smelter, I think the next 2 episodes, maybe even the next 3, we'll pretty much be doing the same thing. We'll be bringing the trains up the line to get all the rolling stock ready to go. It may not take 3. It may only take 2. Because everything is set and ready to go. Or nearly thereof. Within the next 3 to 5 episodes, I think we're going to go ahead and start building out toward the oil field and the refinery. We'll get that portion of that loop done. And it may end up being, since we've got a little bit of time here, we've got quite the run to go. It may end up being that we have it come in somewhere around in here. Somewhere around in this area. We have it come in to complete a loop from the sawmill to the refinery, to the oil field, and back. Now, I don't know what the terrain looks like. I haven't explored that part of the map yet. But we do not have a significant turnaround for any trains that take that loop, or that take that line. So what may end up happening is we may have a Y, excuse me. There's no such thing as a T intersection in this game. We may have a Y come in somewhere over in here so that we can actually go either direction as we need to. Depending on I know I keep getting out of the map and then coming back into it, but I'm actually thinking about what I'm doing here. But yeah, depending on how our lines work and what we need where, yeah, it may just end up being just a loop, just a loop that excludes the central depot almost entirely. We may just put a Y in so that we can take the finished product to the central depot and turn it in. Looks like we're almost up to the top of the hill. Actually, we're really not. We're about halfway. This is, like I said, this is a long, long line. With our arrival here back up at the smelter on this lovely foggy morning, I want to say thank you guys for joining me here today. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you liked, let me know what you didn't like. Tell me I talk too much if you want to. I don't care. Just don't be rude about it. I mean, I just talked for 4.5 hours straight. Um, but if you have any suggestions or anything like that, like I said, leave a comment. I'm all for it. If you want to support the channel, unfortunately, Patreon's no longer around. I've still got the page. I've still got all the stuff that went with it, but it's no longer active or anything like that. So it's kind of not even worth bringing up anymore, and I won't be doing that very much longer. But yeah, if you want to support the channel, come on over and subscribe. I'd be glad to see you in the chat. I'd be glad to see you in the subscriber list on here on YouTube. Um, this map is getting very close to being opened for multiplayer to the general public because Patreon's not around anymore. Um, so if you subscribe, you'll be in contention for being able to play this with me. Uh, if you're interested in, and I'm going to start saying this now, if you're interested in being on multiplayer on this map when it is finished, comment, let me know, and I will send you a direct message if you have an account here on YouTube that I can reach. I know a lot of my subscribers are shadow subscribers, is the best way I could describe them. Um, that is to say, I can't see who they are. I don't know who they are. You know, they don't have a channel, etc., etc. But if you do have a channel, or you do your name, your username is out there public, and you want to join in when this does go for multiplayer, leave a comment in all the videos that you can. I'll send you a direct message if I can, and we'll arrange it so that you can come in on multiplayer. I do plan on doing multiplayer episodes eventually, um, before the map is released or after. You know, it doesn't matter. If I get a second set of hands out here, it'll make that episode a little bit easier, a little bit more entertaining for you guys specifically. Um, the newer maps that are coming out, um, that is the maps that are in the game that I am planning on adding into the series. To be clear, there are no new maps in the game that were not there before. Um, but the new maps that I'm planning on doing, you'd be in contention for multiplayer recording those episodes before before the map went public. So yeah, if you want to subscribe, I'd be all for it. If you want to multiplayer work on this line before it's released to the public, or the other two maps that I'm planning on doing, comment down below. Let me know. And with that, I want to say thank you guys again for joining me here today, and I will see you in the next one.